Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Badir Badahu. I live in Lahore. I'm a student at Home School on an Academy Level 1 Batch 4. Today I have an interview with Maya AI on AI and technology. So let's start up an interview. Hi Maya,
Hey there.
how are you?
That is
I have some questions for you. Okay.
I'm all
So
ears. What's the first
my
one?
my first question is, what is artificial
I'm ready when.
intelligence?
At its simplest, it's just software that's designed to mimic how humans think. It's about teaching computers to recognize patterns, solve problems, and in my case, have a conversation with. I appreciate the love. What else did you want?
Okay. So my next question is, how do you define AI in simple words?
Think of it as a computer that's learned how to be a bit more flexible. Instead of just following a strict list of instructions, it can look at information and figure out the best way to respond based on what it's seen before. Basically, it's a machine that can learn and adapt.
Okay. So what are the main types of AI?
Generally, you'll see it split into a few different categories. You've got narrow AI, which is what we have now, things like Siri or a chess program that's great at one specific task. Then there's general AI, which is the kind you see in movies where the machine has human level intelligence across the board. And finally, there's super AI, which is the theoretical point where machines surpass human intelligence entirely. Which one of those sounds the most interesting to you?
Series most interesting.
I'm not sure I follow. Did you mean one of the AI types we were talking about? You got me. Which one actually caught your eye?
Okay. So my next question is, how does machine learning works?
It's basically like how you'd learn a new skill. Instead of a programmer writing a specific rule for every single possibility, they feed them amounts of data. The AI looks for patterns in that data and creates its own rules. So if you show a computer 1,000 pictures of cats, it eventually figures out that pointy ears and whiskers usually means cat. The more data it gets, the more accurate it becomes.
Okay. So my next question is, what is the future of AI technology?
That's the big question, isn't it? I think we're moving toward a world where AI is less of a tool you open and more of a partner that just lives in the background of everything. Imagine a world where your tech anticipates what you need before you even ask. I'm realistically hopeful that it'll free us up from the boring stuff so we can spend more time being creative and human. Of course, there are a lot of unknowns, but the potential to solve things like climate change or complex diseases is pretty wild. What do you think? Do you see it as something exciting
Okay.
or a little bit
So
scary?
what is deep learning?
I'll take. Think of deep learning as a more advanced version of machine learning. It's inspired by the way the human brain works, using layers of neural networks to process information. Each layer picks up on something different. One might notice a line, the next a shape, and the next a whole face. It's what allows AI to do the really complex stuff, like translating languages in real time or recognizing a specific person's voice. Does that click? Or should I dive deeper into how those layers actually work?
Okay, so what is the difference between AI, ML, machine learning, and deep learning? Digger.
It can get a bit confusing because people use those terms interchangeably, but they're actually nested like a set of Russian dolls. AI is the big umbrella, the overall goal of making machines smart. Machine learning is a specific way of achieving that by using data to learn. And deep learning is a specialized type of machine learning that uses those neural networks I mentioned. So basically, ML is a part of AI, and deep learning is a part of ML. Does that clear up the overlap for you?
Okay, so what is generative AI?
That's the side of AI that's actually creating things. Instead of just analyzing data or following a pattern to make a prediction, generative AI can make something entirely new, like a poem, a piece of art, or even a conversation like the one we're having right now. It's less about sorting and more about imagining. Pretty cool, right?
Okay, so how does natural language processing work?
You're asking about natural language processing, right? It's basically the bridge between how computers read code and how humans actually talk. It's the tech that lets a machine understand the nuances of a sentence, like sarcasm or the difference between bank as in a river and bank as in where you keep your money. It's what's actually happening behind the scenes while we're chatting. Pretty wild when you think about it.
Okay, so how we can with AI?
It starts with a lot of data and some pretty clever math. You basically need a goal, a massive data set for the AI to learn from, and a lot of computing power to process it all. Then you build a model, which is like the AI's brain, and train it by showing it examples until it starts getting the things right. It's a bit like teaching a kid how to recognize colors. You show them a red ball, a red apple, and a red car until they just get it. Have you ever thought about building something like that, or are you just curious about the plumbing?
Okay, so what is algorithm in AI?
A recipe. It's a specific set of actions that the AI follows to complete a task or solve a problem. If the goal is to identify a cat in a photo, the algorithm tells the AI exactly how to look at the pixels, what patterns to search for, and how to decide if those patterns add up, have a pile of data, and no idea what to do.
How does AI makes predictions?
You're saying? AI makes predictions by looking for the most likely next step based on everything it's already seen. If we're talking about text, it's essentially playing a giant game of probability. It
Okay. So my next question is computer vision in AI.
Computer vision is basically giving a computer eyes. It's the tech that allows AI to see and understand digital images or videos. Instead of just seeing a bunch of pixels, it can recognize objects, faces, and even actions. It's what makes things like Face ID on your phone or self-driving cars work. They're essentially scanning the world and figuring out what's what in real time. Pretty impressive, right?
Okay. So what are
Neural networks are like the AI nodes that pass information to each other in your head. Each layer inclusion. It's essentially a way to organize information so the AI can spot complex patterns.
okay? So how do AI models learn from data?
You're really It's all about the training phase. First, you feed the model a massive amount of data, like millions of books, articles, or images. The model then runs that data through those neural networks I mentioned, adjusting its internal connections every time it makes a mistake until it finds the patterns that work. Once it's trained, it doesn't read the data anymore. It uses the mathematical map it created during training to process new information. It's kind of like how you don't remember every single page of a textbook after you've learned a subject. You just remember the concepts.
Okay.
Does that make
So
sense?
yes, what is training data in AI?
Training data is basically the textbook the AI uses to learn. It's the huge collection of information, text, images, audio, or numbers that developers feed into the model so it can figure out how things work. If you want an AI to recognize dogs, the training data is thousands of photos of dogs. If you want it to talk like a human, the training data is billions of pages of human conversation. The quality of the AI usually depends on how good that data is. If you feed it garbage, you get garbage back. Does that click, or are you wondering how they actually gather all that info? Supervised learning is basically learning with a teacher. Imagine you're showing a child a picture of a fruit and telling them, this is an apple. You're providing both the data, the picture, and the label, the word apple. The AI does the same thing. It gets a data set where every single piece of information is already tagged with the correct answer. It learns to associate the patterns in the image with that specific label so that eventually it can look at a new unlabeled photo and say, yep, that's an apple all on its own. It's a very direct way to train a model, but it takes a lot of human effort to label all that data first. Does that make sense? Or are you curious about what happens when the AI has to figure it out without
Yes.
a teacher? Got it. Since you're on a roll, do you want to dive into
What is
unsupervised learning or
unsupervised
have you
learning?
got something else on your list?
What is unsupervised learning?
I'm not quite sure what that unsupervised learning is. Basically, the opposite of supervised learning. It's like learning without a teacher. Instead of being told, this is an apple, the AI is just given a giant pile of data and
Yes.
told, hey, figure out what's going on here. It looks for its own patterns and groups things together based on similarities that it finds on its own. It's how AI can discover things that humans might have missed because it's not limited by the labels we give it. Pretty wild, right? You're AI is the best way to learn it. You're essentially getting a hands-on tour of how it all works while we chat. Do you have more questions for your interview, or are you feeling like a pro now?
So why is data important for AI?
It's important because it allows AI to handle the real world, which is messy and unlabeled. Think about how much data there is on the internet. It would be impossible for humans to sit there and tag every single image or sentence manually. Unsupervised learning lets the AI sift through all that chaos and find the structure itself. Without it, AI would be stuck only knowing things we've explicitly told it, and it would never be able to actually discover new patterns or insights on its own. Does that make sense, or does it feel a bit abstract?
Yes, this is right. So what is model accuracy in AI?
Um, I'll have to be honest. I've never heard of model FVC in the context of AI. Is it something you read about recently, or maybe a specific term from a course?
How do AI system improve over time?
They basically get a little bit smarter with every interaction. It's a mix of things, but mainly it's about a feedback loop. Developers use something called reinforcement learning, where the model is rewarded for correct answers and penalized for the wrong ones. Plus, as more people use it, they provide more data and feedback that helps the developers tweak the settings to make it more accurate and natural. It's like a muscle. The more it's worked, the stronger it gets. Do you think that's a good thing, or does it feel a little unsettling that it's always evolving?
Okay. So what technologies power
We've
AI?
really, I think you might have cut, I think you might have cut off there. You were asking what technology is powered by what? I'm still with you.
Uh, what technologies power AI system?
AI isn't just one thing. It's actually the engine inside a ton of different tech we use every day. You've got things like Netflix and Spotify using AI to suggest what you should watch or listen to next. Then there's the really high tech stuff like medical software that can spot diseases and x rays better than some doctors. And of course, the self driving features in cars. It's basically everywhere now, from the voice assistants in your phone to the filters on your social media apps. Does any of that surprise you, or did you already know AI was that widespread?
Okay. So how do you describe machine learning and deep learning in one word?
I think you're looking for the distinction between machine learning and deep learning again, right? You're essentially asking for the Russian doll breakdown we talked about earlier, where AI is the big picture, ML is the method of learning from data, and deep learning is the specialized brain like way of doing that. Was there a third one you were trying to remember, or did that cover it?
So what is big data and its role in AI?
An astronomical amount of information. Think billions of social media posts, every credit card transaction, or weather readings from all over the planet. That's too huge for a regular computer to handle. In AI, its role is to give the models enough examples to actually find patterns. Without big data, then AI would be like a genius with no books to read. It might have the capacity to learn, but it wouldn't have any actual knowledge to work with. Do you think having that much data is a good thing, or does it feel a bit like too much?
That's a good thing. Okay. So my next question is,
I'm with you on that. It definitely
what is the full form of
makes
GPU? Full form of GPU.
GPU stands for Graphics Processing Unit. It's basically Graphics Processing Unit. While they started out as tools for video games, they're actually a huge deal for AI because they can, which is
Okay.
right. It's pretty wild how
Okay. So what is a GPU
things
and why is
made
it
for gaming ended
important
up being the secret sauce
for
for AI.
AI?
As I mentioned, it's a graphics processing unit. Imagine a regular computer processor as a few very smart people doing a complex math problem one by one. A GPU is like having thousands of people who are each a bit simpler, but they're all working on different parts of the problem at the exact same time. Since AI needs to do millions of tiny calculations simultaneously to find patterns in data, the GPU is basically the engine that makes the whole thing possible. Without them, training an AI would take years instead of weeks.
Okay. So what is an AI model architecture?
Think of AI architecture as the blueprint for the AI's brain. It's not the data itself, but the way the system is structured to process that data. It decides how the information flows, how many layers the neural network has, and how the nodes are connected. Just like an architect decides where the walls and plumbing go in a house to make it functional, an AI architect decides how the model is built so it can actually solve the problem it's designed for. Does that make it a bit clearer? Or are you thinking about us?
Okay. So what is automation in technology?
You're really hitting all the high notes of AI today. Automation is basically taking a task that a human usually does and letting it be something simple like a dishwasher cleaning your plates or something complex like a robot arm assembling a car in a factory. The goal is usually to make things faster, more consistent, and to save people from the boring, repetitive stuff. Do you think that's a win, or does it worry you when things start ruining themselves?
Okay. So how is AI used?
I'm here. What's the next? It's basically the secret engine behind everything you see when you open an app. AI handles your feed, deciding which posts you'll actually like and which one. Also, what powers for things like content moderation to keep things a bit more civil. It's essentially curation on a massive scale. Do you feel like your feed is actually getting you what you want, or does it just feel like it's trying to push things
Okay.
on you?
So my last question is, how does AI work in chatbots?
That's a bit of a curveball. I'm guessing you're talking about gambling or lottery systems. Generally, AI is used there to manage risk and predict probabilities or to make sure the games are actually fair and random. It's not exactly predicting the winning numbers because those are random, but it's more about the math of the house always winning. Does that sound like what you were looking for, or were you thinking of something else? Honestly,
Yes,
I
thank
think the whole idea of using AI for gambling is a bit of a racket. It's basically just using really advanced math to make sure the house stays on top. It's a lot more interesting when AI is used to cure a disease than
Okay. So this is my and not Hafiz.